I knew I was dead. I apparently had a big grin on my face.
And you look so young. There was not a line on your face. Amazing.
Hello, I'm Richard Fox. Welcome to Face to Face. Today, Andy Voigt is chatting with Dirk and Penny Willner. In 2004, Dirk had a near-death, or as he would say, a near-heaven experience. How did they make sense of it at the time? And what has it meant in over 10 years since then?
Dirk, on Maundy Thursday in 2004, you lay on a hospital bed, flatlined. Your body's electrical system had switched off, stopping your heart for over 2 minutes. And you had an amazing experience of heaven. But it wasn't something you were keen to talk about.
No, not at all. The thing is that I don't think a lot of people want to really share that because you quite often begin with the fearful expectation that, they're just thinking that you're a Fruit Loop and you know.
It's also very precious.
And it is precious, exactly. It's
so
very
it's
personal.
Not something that you share. It's not that you share it unwillingly, but it's a very precious thing to have happened, and it's a treasure, and so you don't share it lightly.
I mean, even as a pastor, you know about these things, but when you experience it, it really is freaky. So, you know, most of my prayer life is, please God, can you explain what's happening here? And it was very difficult for me to think about, well, who can I talk to about this? Who can I share this with? I mean, I had nobody really that I could trust with something weird like this.
Can you share with us a little bit about what you did experience in that 2 minutes?
1 second, I was watching the doctors changing charts and all that sort of stuff. And I was in this darkness, and in my consciousness, the strangest thing is that I knew I was dead. I wasn't fearful. It was like, okay, I'm dead.
Why you're not fearful?
Well, I don't know. It was like just consigned to the idea that that's it. And there was a strange presence in this darkness. It was almost like it was looking at me, judging me to see whether it can have me. And that's when I then sort of said, okay, God, where do we go from here? And it went. Immediately when I said that, I felt this hand just take me, and I ended up in front of heaven's door, basically, sort of thing.
What made you think it was heaven's door?
Well, it was like the darkness disappeared like a fog, and right in front of me was this incredible looking mansion. I mean, it was bigger than my eyes could take in, and this golden light that was shimmering out of it. And there's a whole lot of experiences that were connected with that light that then just surrounded me, and I was just in so much joy, and I knew it was heaven. I mean, it's like, you know, there's a place there. There's a text in the Bible that talks about how Jesus is going ahead, and when, you know, there's a place for us, and when he's ready, he's going to come. And it was a bit like that. Here's the place that's ready for us. And it's funny because I know that from the doctors I had about 2 and a bit minutes flatline, but what I experienced was a lot longer.
You also went on to experience 2 encounters with angels and had several conversations with God while you were recovering at home.
To me, it's an important thing that, you know, that experience with the angels affirmed the experience of a near heaven experience, and the conversations with God affirmed the experience with the angels that affirmed the heaven thing, you know. So it was like, you know, layers of, hey, look, this is for real. It's not just make-believe, because there was time difference between them. There's no chemical, you know, was not on any substances, if you like, and, you know, had hallucinations or anything like that. So these were spiritual experiences, not medically induced or otherwise.
Penny, when you first heard Dirk talk about these experiences, what did you think?
I just accepted it, I think, yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't find it odd at all. I was intrigued and interested, and I think really for years before this event, you were always but wait, there's more, pastor. Like that phrase, you used to preach that all the time, but wait, there's more. And you always wanted to tell people that there's more to life, there's more than we know. And it's almost like, well, yeah, here it is. You've been talking about it, let me show you the more.
For me, those 2 minutes are far more real than my previous 40 years or the 10 years since then. It's still a very important part of my life that I look back to. And it was only 2 minutes, and yet it was really impacting on my soul, if you like, my spirit, about how real this is.
Can you explain, like, what do you mean by that? It was more real than normal life?
You know, when you buy a bunch of balloons because you've got a party on and they're in a plastic bag, I mean, that to me is life like now. You pull one of those out and you put it full of air or, you know, helium, and it floats around, or that was a bit of what heaven was like. It had multiple dimensions to it, whereas this is very flat, if I can explain it that way. It's kind of like, you know, I had a little glimpse, like, you know, allowed to go into the lolly shop and smell it or taste it or something like that. And then you're told, okay, now stand outside again. But now, having experienced that, my faith is a little bit different in terms of I know where I'm going. I can't wait to get back there. But the importance for me is that this is truth. This is not just about faith. There is the reason for Christ, the reason for faith, the reason for all of these kind of things that we share is because there is something on the other side that is so important that God said, I want you to be part of it.
You're listening to Face to Face. Feel free to like our Facebook page at Face to Face Radio, where you can like and share a post about today's message and encourage others. That's Face to Face Radio. Today we're talking with Dirk and Penny about their near heaven experience in 2004.
Dirk, when you look back at that time now, what do you think the point of it was? What was God up to?
That's a really good question. And that's actually the first question that I asked in prayer. What's the point? I mean, it's literally, I was saying to God, look, I know you can switch me off and on. What was the point of showing me that you can? I know about heaven. I believe that there's heaven. What was the point of you know, giving me this near death or near heaven experience? I'm not knocking it. It was great. But at that question, what was the point? But for me, in terms of this side of eternity, the point of it is actually the interaction between the spiritual and the physical. And this ongoing experience that you can have with God that's not just a monologue, but a dialogue, a conversation with God, and to actually enter into a real relationship that actually means something that you can experience. And
yeah, it's sort of like a greater knowing. It's not that it's more than faith, but I don't know, it's just a meatiness to the faith. It's like there's such a sureness, I think, in our faith now.
I would never advocate the idea that the experience is at the exclusion of God's Word, because I think God's Word explained to me what I experienced. And if I didn't have God's Word, it would have been a great story, but it would have been, you know, just one story among other things. For me now, to actually see God's Word come alive is the important thing here, that it's not just words on a page. What I'm trying to say is that these are words for real. And that's what, for me, is the key thing, is that, you know, it's, for some, there's that blessing of having that experience. But that's not the be-all and end-all. Actually, the words that Christ has given us, that's the be-all and end-all, because that's what we need to trust, not the experience. The experience is just a bit of cream on top of the cake.
As your stories become known, what kind of feedback have you had from people who've heard your story?
A lot of people have come back to say, look, I've had an experience. Because you shared yours, can you listen to mine? Because they haven't had anyone share. They haven't had anyone to listen to them, to share it, or feel comfortable to share it with.
It's been very much an opening the door. But I think the other thing that's been really a blessing for people is the DVD has been passed on to people who've had like dying relatives, and just that comfort of hearing what life is like after death. It's been a very comforting message to share. I think.
I'm always surprised of where this has actually surfaced. I mean, it's been used by palliative care nurses. I was surprised to hear that the DVDs made it there. I heard from a RAF chaplain who's been using it before soldiers go off to Afghanistan at that stage. And I thought, goodness me, where's this thing going? And it's like, and then I had a phone call from someone in America who does, he writes sitcoms, movie things and whatever it is, and he said, "Oh, look, I've come across your story. I want to write something into my play," or whatever he was doing. And he said, "Well, look, I'm a Christian, and one day I'm going to meet you in heaven, so I better make sure that I actually acknowledge my source." And I had this phone call from America so I have no idea where this story has gone. It just seems to be doing the rounds everywhere. So, yeah.
Dirk, how do you think your experience has affected the way you live your life now?
And I can tell you that after the experience, I often share with people, my ministry before that was, okay, God's called me into ministry and I'm gung-ho for God. Do all of the things that he's called me to do. Come on, God, catch up with me. It's like, get on with the program. Now it's the other way around. It's more like, I know God is walking and is walking with me. I just want to walk where he is and follow what he's doing, where he's blessing things. And I tell you what, I'm having more fun with ministry and life and fullness of life now than when I had it before. So I think that there is that people quite often have this faith and they've got to do things for God, but there's another faith, hey, God is with you and you can do things with God. And I think that is what changed.
I think sometimes people hear this story and they think, oh, well, that's never happened to me. The thing is, we're not anything special. And what I get out of this, actually, it's amazing. Like this amazing God who made the world, this amazing God who could do all of this stuff, loves us so much. He loves everybody who's listening. And there's that verse in the Bible, it's in James, it says, draw near to God and he will draw near to you. And he's just, I think, desperate to have an intimate relationship with each one of us. That it's amazing and crazy as it sounds, this huge God actually wants to be an intimate part of your life. He wants to actually journey through your life with you.
You've been listening to Face to Face and an interview titled Near Heaven. If you'd like to know more about Dirk's Near Heaven experience, contact us for a free DVD. It contains a 40-minute live recording of Dirk, sharing a detailed version of his experience. Simply phone free call 1800 353 350 or order online at facetoface.org.au. Today I'd also like to offer you the free booklet, What Happens When I Die? It explores many common questions relating to life after death. For your free copy of What Happens When I Die or the Near Heaven DVD, phone free call 1800 353 350. That's 1800 353 350 or order online at facetoface.org.au. I'm Richard Fox, a pastor of the Lutheran Church, where love comes to life. I hope you can join us again next week when Mark Dakey talks about the small irritations in life. Why do they sometimes bring out the worst in us? This program was produced by Lutheran Media.